Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Here we are in BeamNG and we're going to be testing out one of my favorite new mods, the Gunner Patriot / Claymore. Now, if you're not familiar with this vehicle from my other video, I strongly recommend you take a look. There is a trial version that you can access, but I did end up buying the full version and I have to say I am absolutely mind blown. This is such a cool vehicle. It adds so much functionality to the game itself. It sticks with the lore of the game, which is super awesome, and even better yet, it just drives amazing. So we're going to be taking a look at how this thing handles, how it works in the game of BeamNG, and see exactly what it's all about. Now, I've been sitting on this one for a while. I've loved the trial version, but I decided to go ahead and buy the full version after seeing the October 4th update. And you can just see here from the images, what an amazing looking vehicle. And what I really do love is that they took it to the next level and released kind of military, civilian, and you'll see kind of all kinds of variants that you could use and test out. But anyways, I saw this and I'm like, I gotta have it. So I bought it and I'm very happy. If we do go to the vehicles here and find it down this list, you could see that the photo of it is even this really cool kind of orange and teal one, but it starts off with all these crazy military versions. Now, I didn't even bother like trying all them out, but you just see that there are a ton of them, from a no roof version to like a soft top to a truck bed, all kinds of military versions if you're into that. Then you come to the civilian versions. Now these are probably my favorite just because they have a bit more of a refined interior, they handle a bit nicer, and some of them tend to be a little faster than the military version. Anyways, love this open top yellow one. It kind of reminds me of the movie Exit Wounds, if any of you are familiar with that. And then we get into the public service vehicles. So these are your police versions, your ambulance versions, fire chief versions. So that is your public service. There's even SWAT, which is super cool. Then you have ex-military. Now what's really neat about this is the interior is kind of that very basic military interior, but they've been modified and made into kind of like off-road versions and whatnot. But then you get to the actual modified versions, and these tend to have upgraded tires, upgraded suspension, and then you get to extreme upgraded, which are like massive tires, body lift, all kinds of things. This one even has rear steering. Now just taking a look at this one in the game, which is the one from the photo, you could tell that it is fast because of that turbo diesel, and it is very rugged. Now, I know BeamNG is supposed to be a game all about crashing and destroying the thing, and this doesn't necessarily coincide with that because this vehicle is clearly quite capable of not being destroyed, but even still, I find it super fun just to drive around in. Now, the interior, you could see this was an ex-military one, so you even have the little stool for the gunner. Then you have kind of the very basic interior, but even yet, they've upgraded it with all kinds of roll cages and mesh and guards and things. Now back to the actual military version, if we hop into this. This one will be much slower, but it's also much lower to the ground, and you can see by the windows, it kind of has that bulletproof window style versus the ones that are the civilian versions. Now I will crash the thing, but just bear with me for a second. I just want to see and show you the interior. So this is that military version, that very similar to what we just saw. And if we take a look at that, well, the thing just climbed right over that other car. And as long as the engine's on, we can keep on rolling. So I'm going to try to fire it back up. There we go. Honestly, minimal damage to us. I'm still rolling pretty steadily. So this thing is very good at taking all kinds of damage. Here we are at Crash Hard. We're going to take this thing off all kinds of massive jumps. Now, to start off, I've taken the civilian version. the four-door wagon variant. And if we take a look in the interior, you'll see that even though it still is quite similar to the military one, it is more refined. It has kind of a CD player, cup holders. So the interior is definitely, while still being quite Spartan, it is a lot more refined. Now, let us take it off some jumps and see exactly how it behaves here. Alright, so first test or first jump, it's still going strong. Alright, oh, alright, we don't want to fall off that. Let's give that a second try here. Gotta get a little bit of speed there. Maybe this isn't enough speed, but we'll see what happens. Okay, that pretty much smashed the front right in, and yet we're still going. That's always a good thing. Alright, so anyway, you get the point. This thing is quite rugged, even in its civilian version. Now to show you one of the so-called heavily modified versions, we can spawn that in and see that it has absolutely giant wheels and suspension. I mean, this thing at this point doesn't even look road legal, but it looks awesome. So let's see how this thing handles. I suspect that we're gonna have much better luck with this one, though the big wheels, oh yeah, there we go. I was gonna say the big wheels might be a little too bouncy, which you can kind of see the suspension jumping all over the place, but it honestly just seems to be taking this with absolutely no damage at all. Now, I do think that it would flip over if we hit it a little wrong, but man, this thing is a rig. So, if we watch it hit the ground, you can obviously get the clipping through the front fender and stuff, but it just seems to be going along quite happily. Again, like I said, until you flip it. Now, what is super sweet is that it actually has a winch that you could use. You can free spool it, and you could kind of take it and attach it to things. So it is a neat little addition for the off-road versions and for some of the other versions that has a winch on the front. Something like this is probably my personal favorite. I just do like the truck versions. I can see the inside view. It should take a trail like this absolutely no problem. Just look at that suspension go. Look at that. Man, this thing is awesome. So anyway, I do highly recommend this vehicle for any of my BeamNG followers and friends. Yeah, it is like, you know, you have to pay for it, which isn't always the best for a mod, but you can really tell that those who developed it really put in a crazy amount of effort. And truthfully, you have to give it to them for that. Like, this vehicle fits in with the lore of the game spectacularly. It fits in with the drivability, and it gives us a vehicle that is just so fun to drive. Like, I do have to say, I do love taking this thing out and just ripping it through the desert or through trails like this. So fun, such a satisfying model, and truthfully, I highly recommend it. The only thing that I wish it came with was a manual transmission version, because I do love driving manual transmission, and I think that while it is kind of generally, you know, like a American vehicle that doesn't really intend on coming with a manual transmission, I do think having a version, at least in one of the modified ones, would be a lot of fun, just for taking it through things like this. But regardless, still, what a cool model and a cool vehicle. Look at that. So there you have it, the Gunner Claymore Patriot. What a sweet vehicle. Let me know in the comments what you think, if this is something that you'd be interested in. But otherwise, stay tuned for more content, stay tuned for more Stormworks creations and videos, as well as BeamNG, and whatever other fun I can find myself getting into. Until next time, everyone. On a side note, look at that awesome double steering. That is so cool. Kind of reminds me of my Stormworks creations, actually.